Here we go, here we go, here we go. Let's see if I can do this, maybe. If I can do this. Turn like that. There we go. Let's see if we can push this. Get myself together here, folks. Real quick. There we go. That's a little better, I think. Is that better? I can look this way. Yeah, that's a little bit better. There we go. Try not to get the, let's see. Mirror as I can. Dropped you guys. Dropped you guys again. What happened now? Oh wait. There we go. Sorry about that, everybody. Yeah, okay, we're gonna set it up like that. Sorry about that. All right, here we go. I was set up, but I had to redo some adjusting here. So, hey everybody, how you guys doing out there? It's Drew Murphy here from Level Up Coaching and Consulting. I want to welcome you guys to another Thursday's Mindset Webinar, weekly Mindset Webinar. So, those of you, let me grab my water here. Those of you that follow me, you guys know that I do a Mindset Webinar every week at 7 p.m. on Thursday. 7 p.m. Stockholm time. Now, I say Stockholm time all the time because, you know, there's people from, all over the world that, you know, tune in from America, Africa, you know, South America, wherever. So, you know, I know it's a bit of a time difference. So I want to make sure that you guys understand that it's Stockholm time, not your local time, wherever you are. So, every week, Mindset Webinar. This week is no different. I'm super excited. Today, we're going to talk about something that I think is important, not just for people who are entrepreneurs, but for people that are, just on the path of personal development. Okay. First of all, I've introduced myself, but I am a mindset self-worth coach. Okay. Basically, I specialize in helping my clients with their mindset, helping them change the way they think and feel about themselves as far as their self-worth is concerned. Okay. Been doing that for a while now. I've had the business for almost 2 years. And I really enjoy coaching. I really enjoy helping people. I really enjoy reaching out and showing and sharing with people, you know, the tools that I've learned to help me, you know, build my self-confidence, build my self-worth, and live the life, you know, the way I want to live it on my terms. You know what I mean? I know what it's like to not have self-worth. I know what it's like to really, really not like yourself. I've been there. So that's what I do, because I can't coach or teach or mentor or guide what I don't know, if that makes any sense, right? You know, you have a lot of coaches out here that, you know, want to be super broad and, you know, coach everything. But I stick to what I know because that's what I'm good at. And I think that's where, you know, clients will get, you know, the quality of the coaching that they're looking for when they have a coach that actually does, specific in their own, you know, special niche. So there's that. So this is just part of my coaching, you know, company where I do these live webinars every week for free, put them on Facebook Live. Really enjoy doing it. It's a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and get started. So this week, the topic is don't worry about the how. Like, I like to talk about things that I feel are affecting, the world we live in today like right now in real time, right? And a lot of people are seriously, into their personal development. They realize now that they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. They want to do something better. They know that there's something better. They know that there's a better version of themselves that they can obtain and get to. They just, may not know how or what or where or whatever. So, they're on the search, they're on the path, right? And there's a lot of people nowadays that are starting to, think along the lines of personal development. This is one of those things that I think is very relevant to think about when you're setting goals, when you're working on yourself, when you're trying to, elevate, when you're trying to let go of certain things, when you're trying to get out of, certain situations or whatever in life. So I try to come with, relevant topics, that we can talk about that affect us today. I don't want to be one of those coaches that are like sort of, dated, right? Does that make sense? Okay. So don't worry about the how, the mindset behind building your goals. Okay. Don't worry about the how. Now, we're going to go through, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the bullet points first, and then we'll kick it off. But what I want you to do is I want you to grab a pen and a pad and write some of this stuff down. Okay. So number one, we're going to talk about goal, the difference between the different goals. Okay. There's an A goal, a B goal, and a C goal. So number one is A, B, and C goals. Know the difference. Okay. Number two is how is a trap to start. Okay. How is a trap to start. Number three, your job is to decide the what and the why. All right? That's what your job is. Number four, decision activates the path. Okay? Decision activates the path. That's number four. Number five, let the how reveal itself step by step. All right? Number six, faith and frequency equals logic and force. We'll get into it. Okay? And then number seven, or versus logic and force, sorry. And then number seven, become the person who knows how. And then I'll do a wrap up, and then I want to do a call to action for you guys, which is basically just give you some sort of homework to go with. And and we'll get into it. So number one, we talk about A, B, and C goals. So most people stop themselves before they even begin. Not because they lack desire, not because they don't want to, not because of anything else other than they don't know exactly how to reach their goal. Okay? And they act from a place of fear, a place of necessity. They come from a place of scarcity. They're worried, and they want to control everything, and they're worried about it. So when the goal gets to be something that they really want to do, then it kind of they kind of lose focus on it, and they kind of quit before they get started. Today, what I want to do is I want to shift your thinking and show you why how is not your job. At least at first. Okay? How is not your job. That's at least at first. So what we want to do is we want to talk about the different goals. Now, when I'm talking about don't worry about the how, I'm talking about goal setting. So we're going to talk about goals. Now, well, let's get into it. We'll do like this. A, B, C. Cold water. There are three different types of goals, obviously, right? There's the A goal, the B goal, and the C goal. Okay? So what is the A goal? A goal is something that you've already done. It requires no work. It requires no real effort. It requires no planning, or it's something you've already done before. It's comfortable. And because it doesn't require any work, because it doesn't require any effort, because it's something you've done before and you know it, you just want to do it again, there's no growth, right? There's no building. And we're talking about working on yourself, building these building blocks of personal development, getting you to the next level that you want to be within yourself as the type of person that you want to be, right? So an example of an A goal would be, I always use the example of traveling because I love to travel. So an A goal is you want to travel to, I don't know, New Zealand. Or no, let's say you want to travel to, I don't know, let's say you want to travel to Germany, right? And you've been there before, right? And you say, oh, I want to go to Germany. Well, that's not really a goal. That's just a task. Basically, an A goal is basically a task. That's just something that you want to do, that you feel like you have to do, that it's on your list of things to do, right? So then there's the B goal. Now, the B goal is something you think you can do. It's logical. It makes sense, but it's not really all that exciting. And you base it on planning and the resources that you already have, right? So for example, you want to, well, A was going to Germany, right? So let's stick with that. Let's stick with that whole thing. A B goal would be, I want to go to Germany and I want to stay for 2 months this time. So that's a goal, and it requires planning. It requires some work because maybe you have to work a little extra to save some money. You have to plan as far as where you're going to stay, what are you going to do, why you're going, so on and so forth, right? So that requires a little more, work in the process of actually achieving that goal, right? Then there's the C goal, which is the big goal, the goal that scares you to death, the goal that makes you feel like, oh shit, do I have, right? So that would be, let's say, I want to move to Germany for a year, study German, and, maybe work in, move and work to Germany. I want to migrate to Germany. Let's just say it like that. You just want to move to Germany, period. Wherever you live, you want to leave there and go to Germany. You don't speak German. You don't know anybody in Germany. You've never been to Germany. But for some reason, you feel like that's the place that you want to go, right? So that's a scary goal. It's a C goal. It's a big goal. It requires a lot of planning, but it requires more planning than a B goal does. Because first of all, if we speak logically, you're going to move there. So there's, you got to make sure you got your documentation correct. You got to make sure you got the money, how you're going to live, what are you going to work, what are you going to do, are you going to study? There's a lot of planning to do there. You don't know anybody there, so it's going to be a very scary goal. It is a life-changing goal, and it's something that should be very scary to you. A C goal should scare you to death. If it doesn't scare you, it's not big enough. So you have no idea how to reach the goal. It's based entirely on a desire, not logic. It feels exciting, but it's also scary. Matter of fact, you're not even the person that you need to become in order to get to that goal, right? You don't have the resources, you don't have the money, you don't have the connections, you don't have anything. You just know that that's what you want to do. That is a C goal, okay? And that's when I talk to my clients, when I coach my clients, that's the goal that I want them to look at. The A goal and the B goal is not really that important. That's the goal that I push them on when it comes to developing, personal development within themselves and becoming a better version of themselves. What is the goal? Where do you really want to be? Right? Because that's going to push you. That's going to drive you. You're going to have, a lot of different, things you need as far as resilience, discipline, things like that. Right? So that's the C goal. Now that we have our goal understood and we know which goal we're going after, the how is a trap. Okay, the how is a trap to start with. Okay, when you set a C goal, so when you set a C goal, your current self, the person that you are now, remember what I said earlier? The person you are now doesn't have the knowledge, like I said, the skills or the connections or the resources or the money or the whatever in order to achieve that goal. Why? Because you're not the person you need to be in order to get to that goal, right? So that's the thing. The C goal is, if you insist on knowing how before you commit, then what happens a lot of times is, and I see this in people, they downsize their dream into something you already know how to do. So basically, you're not the person that you need to be in order to reach this goal. So it becomes too lofty. It becomes too big, too scary, too far out of reach, too unrealistic, right? Too unattainable. And because of that, then you question yourself, you doubt yourself, you second guess yourself, and then you go, you know what? Well, maybe that's not really maybe that's not for me. Maybe I shouldn't, move out of this country. Maybe you know what I mean? And then you start settling, right? And that's because you're not the person that you need to be. You're not doing what you need to do to get to be that person that can achieve or obtain that goal. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So the how belongs to the future version of you, not the current version of you. Okay? So the current version of you says, well, I want financial freedom, right? That's my goal, whatever. I want, I don't know, 10 million in the bank, whatever. But you're not the person. And what I always say is, okay, so let's say that you have a financial goal and you want to, this is your goal. Now, who is the person that has achieved and obtained that goal? Who is that person, right? Who has the financial freedom? Who has moved to Germany, let's say? What do they eat? And I know this sounds kind of, ridiculous maybe to people, or what does this matter, or what does that matter? But it all matters. It all ties in because everything is connected. So, for example, I have a financial goal of X. Okay, who is the Andrew that has achieved that goal? What does he eat? What does he do? Who does he associate himself with? Who are his peers, his friends, his social circle? What does he read? Right? What does he allow himself to, the intake? What does he allow himself to be exposed to, on social media, in the world, so to speak, right? What routines, what disciplines does that individual have? Focus, accountability, discipline, slow down, organize, observe, and gratitude. How many of those things does that individual actually possess? Or how many of those qualities does that individual actually actively work on a daily basis, right? How focused is he, right? How disciplined is he? How much accountability does he really seriously allow himself to take, right? Now, this is a lesson that I had to learn. So when I'm talking about it, I'm not talking about it like I'm preaching to you, right? I'm talking about, I can speak from personal experience. I know that I had to really dig deep down inside myself to get to be the version of me that I am today. And I had to really be like, okay, who is this Andrew that's at that level? What does he do? Like, who is that person? And you can't fake it till you make it. You can't, pretend, because you can't fool the universe. But you have to say, okay, that person does these things. That person has these qualities. That person has, this is how they, see discipline and routine and resilience and blah, 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 right? Then you have to implement those things today, right? In order for you to get there. It's not, oh, well, when I get there, then I'll be this. No. That's not how it works. And I thought that that's how it worked. For a long time, I was like, well, just let me get here. Just let me get here, and then I'll show you that I can do all of those things. No, but that's not how it works. You have to become that person. You have to become that individual that possesses those qualities, right? Already right now, in order for you to continue to grow. That's the hard part for a lot of us, because a lot of that is letting go, right? We have to learn how to let go of our old paradigms. We have to learn to let go of our old ways of thinking, the panic thinking. We have to understand that we have to let go of, the things that we're trying to control, right? We have to actually say, hey, let me, surrender to myself, surrender to, the universe, God, if you're religious, and let me see, okay, who do I really want to be? Where do I really want to go? Now, I'm talking about personal development. and goal setting. And I'm talking about goal setting as it pertains to personal development, not just, super goals or whatever. And of course I use the analogy of going to Germany or traveling, but I'm talking about developing yourself, right? Who are you? Who do you want to become? Become that person now. And then you can start, right? And I'm not saying fake it till you make it. And it's not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's adapting those qualities and obtaining and learning how to utilize those tools that you need to use in order to get you to where you need to be. Does that make sense? Okay. So now that's number 3. Understand, I'll say this. If you already knew how to do it, you wouldn't have a C goal. So understand that you don't know how to do it. You don't have the resources. You don't have anything. You have to become that person. Because if you didn't have to become that person, then it wouldn't be a C goal. It would be an A goal or a B goal. Right? So, that makes sense? Okay. So, number 3, your job is to decide the what and the why. Okay? So, before you go how, first of all, what? Decide what you really want with full clarity. Listen to me. And I say this all the time, and I put it in my reels on Instagram and everything else like that. The universe, or if you say God or Jesus or Allah or Buddha or whatever name or title that you want to put on the higher power. The higher power does not work in vague, right? It does not work in kind of, sort of. You have to be very, very specific, like crystal clear in your goal, right? Like I said, you don't, I want to lose weight. Well, that's not really, you got to be more specific than that. Okay, I want to lose 40 pounds. Okay, even more specific. I want to lose 40 pounds within blank amount of time doing blank. You understand what I'm saying? You got to be very, very specific. So once you've actually, with 100% crystal clear clarity, decided what your goal is, right? Now you know what the C goal is. I'll use myself again as an example. I have a very clear goal as to how I want my life to be within, a certain period of time, right? It's very clear to me. There's no, I don't know, maybe there's no, can I do? There's no doubt. I know exactly where I'm going. I have it clear, crystal clear, right? In my head. Okay, so I know what I want. Now, the next thing is why, right? Always focus on the why. Now, the reason I say focus on the why do you want this goal? What is it about this goal that's going to help you become a better person? Where is it that you're going to be able to serve? Or what is it that you're going to be able to do? What is it that you're going to be able to contribute, further on down the line when or once you've achieved this goal? Okay? Always focus on the why. And also, I identify what deeply matters to you. Okay? Emotionally and personally. The more emotionally involved you are with the goal, the more likely you will be able to take bold action to stay persistent, bold action to continue on the path of that goal. So really, really get into this goal, make it a very deep emotional part of who you are, right? And that is where the why comes in. Why? What is it that's so important about this goal, right? A lot of people say, I want, they talk about money, right? Especially nowadays with the world being the way it is, with a lot of the financial crashes and the tariffs and the this and the that and the politics and, things that are going on in other parts of the world, America, different countries in Africa, South America. There's a lot going on that's making it seem a lot unstable, around the world. So people are really, focused on, well, they've always been focused on, but even more so now, focused on money. I got to have this kind of money. I got to have this kind of money, this. But if you think about your goal, the goal is not really the money, right? It's not really the dollar amount or the crown amount or the yen or pound amount. It's what it represents. It's the freedom that it represents, right? That's the goal. Your goal is that freedom, that level of freedom that you're trying to achieve. Now, why? And when you focus on the why, what I've learned, this for me, is when you focus on the why, that is what helps you stay disciplined. That's what helps you stay consistent. That is what helps you hold yourself accountable, right? Because you know why you are doing this. I'm doing it for my family. I'm doing it so that I can, become a better person and be able to help people and, whatever the case may be, right? So you understand the why. That will keep you motivated. That will keep you going, because there's going to come times, trust me, there are going to come times where this goal that you have, that you're trying to get to, there's going to be blocks. There's going to be things happening. There's going to be things that don't happen the way they should happen. There's going to be things that you go, well, why is everything stopping? Why is nothing working? Why is it, happening like this or whatever? There's going to be those times, what we call down times, right? There's peaks and then there's valleys, right? Highs and lows, ebbs and flows, right? So when you're in that downtime, that when it's not groovy, or as me and my wife always say, when it's not, white chocolate covered strawberries and champagne, when it's bread and water, literally, when you remember your why, that will keep you motivated during that time, right? Because you go, okay, it's not really going super groovy right now. I'm facing a challenge. I'm being tested. The universe is taking me through this lesson, whatever, because it's always a lesson, right? You have to understand that too. It's always a lesson. Okay, so what is it I need to learn from this lesson? And when you're going through those hard times, those rough times, maintaining that why I'm doing what I'm doing, why this goal is so important to me, that will get you through. Now, I understand 110%, trust me, it is not easy. It is so much easier said than done. I do understand that because I've been there, right? And I go through it as well, like not all the time, but I go through it as well. I have my moments when I'm up, my moments when it's down, moments when things are going great, moments when things are not going so great. I'm just as human as anybody else. So I experience it. But what gets me through is knowing that there is something better on the other side. And I know where I'm going. I have a goal. I have a destination. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that I'm going to get to that destination. You have to know. And you can't believe, you can't hope, you can't think. You have to know, right? That is going to be my destination. All right? So let's talk about that. Decision. So the how shows up after the why is strong enough, is basically what I'm saying. Once that why is strong enough, then the how will start to manifest itself in ways that, you can't see right now, right? So the decision, okay, activates the path. A firm decision is a turning point, okay? It sends a strong signal to your subconscious and the world around you. Once you've made a decision, like I said, what is it and why? Make a decision, okay? Once you decide, until you decide, your brain stays passive, right? You have to make a decision. What is it I'm going to do? Okay, that's what I want to do. Okay, why do I want to do it? Well, I want to do it because of blah, blah, blah. Okay, make a decision. In other words, take action. Because you can sit and think all day long about what you want to do, where you want to be, why you want to do it, blah, 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 blah. But if you don't get off your ass and actually put in the work necessary to get to that path, it's not going to happen. And once you decide to shift your mental GPS and opportunities and ideas and people begin to align, then you'll start to think about your goal in a different way, right? Setting a C goal. And when you set your C goal, make sure it's what we call SMART, S-M-A-R-T, okay? Once you decide and you've shifted your GPS and all those opportunities and ideas and everything starts to, come into play, make sure you have set a SMART goal, S-M-A-R-T. What does that mean? S, we talked about that already, specific, okay? This is the goal, a C goal, make it specific. Measurable. Okay. How big is the goal? Let's say, right? Okay. So let's say the goal is this big. Well, let's break it down into small, manageable parts, because you can't do it all at once, right? It takes time. So break it down into small, manageable parts, right? And celebrate your wins, celebrate the fact that you've achieved, your achievements, and always think to yourself, what can I do today to get closer to my goal? Whatever the goal is, what can I do? Despite what's going on around you, the walls could be falling down around you, right? Like they say, the house could be burning down around you. What can I do today to get myself from point A to point B, right? And then from point B to point C, and so on and so forth. It's a marathon, not a sprint. I know we all have this thing where we want it to happen now, right away, but it takes time, right? You have to be patient with yourself. You have to understand and be kind to yourself and love yourself and know that Rome wasn't built in a day. So that's measurable. Then achievable. So once you've become specific and once you've measured the goal and realized what parts you can do, now achievable. How achievable is it, right? Realistically speaking, okay? And then R is, what happened here? Oh, my computer stopped. Reasonable, okay? And then T, time bound. So achievable, and R is reasonable, or you could say realistic, right? You have to be realistic with your goal, okay? How achievable is it? How am I going to get there? Okay, not how, but how achievable is the goal? And then R, like I say, realistic. What realistically, what can I do? What's reasonable for me to do today when we talk about measuring the goal? And then T, time bound. And you have to give it a specific time, okay? So within, like I said, I want to lose weight this year, whatever, right? Does that make sense? So that's SMART. That's the kind of goal that you want to have. That's the kind of approach that you want to have when you're, going after your goal, all right? I want you to write this down. It's just a short thing that somebody wrote. I do not need to know how. I just need to know that I will, right? I do not need to know how. I just need to know that I will, right? And when you have that mentality, when you have no doubt in your mind, no fear, you're not operating from a place of scarcity, you're not operating from a place of panic, you're not operating from a place of worry or fear or anger or frustration or anxiety, any of those negative places. You're actually operating from a place of calmness and 100% belief in yourself, and deep down in your soul that you will. When you operate from that, things will start to change, right? And when that's when the how starts to come, and then you'll start to see things happen. You go, oh shit, okay. Like for example, today, I'm not gonna go too into it, but today I was dealing with, doing this webinar and getting myself prepared and this and that, and I started thinking about different things as far as the business, and I have my goal that I want to get to, and because I'm not coming from a place of scarcity, a place of fear, a place of worry, I gotta have it. What's going on? When's it gonna happen? When's it gonna happen? Right? How am I gonna do it? It's because I'm not coming from that place. I'm coming from a place of I don't mind. I didn't say I don't care, but I don't mind that it's not happening now, right? I'm not worried. I'm not afraid that it's because it's not happening, right? Because I'm okay with where I am right now, then I start seeing things differently. I was on the internet, something else came up, and I was like, oh, okay, that's an opportunity. So things slowly start to, I can't explain it. You have to see it to believe it, but things start to, open up a little bit. So I don't need to know how, right? I just need to know that I will. Let's go to number 5. Let the how reveal itself step by step. Like I said, so you don't need you don't need the whole staircase, right? You just need one step at a time. Like when you're going up the steps, you can't jump all the way up the steps. You have to take your time going up. You know what I mean? If you have a really steep stairwell or steps, you go one step at a time, right? So action, and then also, this is the thing, you have to take the step though, right? Action builds clarity. You gotta you made the decision, all right? You have the goal, SMART, right? And you understand that it's gonna take time, and you understand that Rome wasn't built in a day, and you understand to fall in love with the process, not the result. Now, the action. Every small move you make reveals more of the path. Every small step, every small action that you take. Remember what I said earlier? What can I do today to help get me to where I need to be, right? What can I do today, right? And every time you think, okay, I can do this today. And every step you take will get you closer to where you need to be. It's like walking through the forest, right? You're going through a path and you know that there's a house, that's, got warmth and food and, a comfortable place for you to be. But you got to go walk through this cold, dark forest. You don't know exactly where the house is, but you know you're in the right direction. As long as you keep moving forward, more and more of the brush will start getting out of the way for you. More and more of the trees in the forest will start to move away from you, and then you'll be able to see that goal clearer and clearer. Going through a tunnel, right? You can't see the light from the beginning, but the closer you get to the end of the tunnel, the more you'll see the light. Does that make sense? So it's the same thing, right? You gotta have that mentality when you are dealing with a C goal, because a C goal is not something that's gonna happen tomorrow. It's not something that's gonna, just reveal all of itself right away. You have to do the work. You have to kind of work towards it to get there. Like what they say, trial and error. The how will unfold itself through trial and error. That's making mistakes. Having setbacks, having challenges, right? Because that will build growth. That will build resilience. That will help you understand, okay, I had a setback. I'm going towards my goal. I'm going towards, this whatever thing it is. And now I'm having setbacks. I'm having challenges. Things aren't working out the way they're supposed to. That's building growth. Now, when that growth comes, then when the next time you get to the next section of challenge, because there will be a next section of challenge, you'll know how to handle it. You'll go, okay, I'm more resilient now. Now I know, because I had those challenges before, so now I know where I'm at. And I'm having challenges now, so now I know how to handle it. Now I won't fall apart. Now I won't, panic. Now I won't become angry. Now I won't, stay frustrated or whatever, right? So every move you make will reveal the path piece by piece. And every time you have a challenge, that will, an error or something happens, that will give you growth. So, number 6, faith and frequency, not logic and force. Okay? Work through faith, not through force. So, they say faith is belief in the things unseen. It's not about forcing action, but staying aligned mentally and emotionally. So, faith is, I can't see it, but I know it's there. Or I can see it. I know that it's there. I know it. It's not here now in front of me, right? Because I have to get there. I have to take myself to that level to get there in order for me to achieve it and have it. So let's say right now I'm here, right? And this is where I came from. Right now I'm here and this is where I have to go. I got a gap. I can't see this, but I know that it's there. That's why I keep going, right? And that, instead of forcing the action and trying to, push the issue, because you can't force it. You can't make it happen, right? It's like they say God doesn't work on our time, right? What else they say? My father, who's a minister, and grew up in the black church, back home in America, and they have all these different sayings and these different cliches and whatnot. And one of them is, if you want to make plans, if you want to make God laugh, make plans, right? What that means basically is, if you say God, the universe, higher power, whatever, it doesn't work on our time. It doesn't, he or she doesn't work on our timetable and doesn't work according to our thoughts and principles and the way the way we see things, right? The universe works on its own time. Okay, we have to work with the universe in its time, not the other way around, right? So that's basically what that means. You want to make plans, make God laugh, because you're making plans, but there's something else better for you, or that specific thing might not be for you. That's why it's not working, right? Or that specific thing might be for you, but in order for you to get to where you need to be and have what it is you want to have, you've got to become a certain kind of person in order to be able to achieve that. So that's why it's not happening. Does that make sense? So that's why I say faith, not force. Okay? Stay aligned mentally and emotionally with the action. Stay aligned with the why. Make sure you understand why you're doing what it is you're doing. Make sure you understand that the why is what helps you stay motivated. It will help you stay accountable. It will help you with your discipline. And it will definitely help you focus and slow down. You have to slow down. You can't be in a hurry. You can't be in a rush. Like I said, you can't force the time. You can't speed it up. You know what I mean? It works on its own time. Okay? So when your belief is stronger than your doubt, then that's when the ideas turn into breakthroughs. When your belief is stronger than your doubt, then that's when your ideas turn into breakthroughs. It doesn't always happen in gigantic ways, in spectacular ways, right? It can happen in very small ways that if you weren't paying attention, you might not notice it, right? I can't really think of a great example about that, but okay, I'll give you an example. I have an idea about my company, something, so Level Up Coaching and Consulting, right? So I do consulting. So basically what I do is I go into the schools and talk to the kids, try to, steer them right. Where I live in Stockholm, there's a lot going on, with the youngsters, because of the way the world is. There's a lot of poverty, a lot of neglect, a lot of different, things that are happening that make it be what it is, for the youngsters. And the level of violence is rising, and the age is getting, lowering, younger and younger. So I basically, because of where I come from, the environment I grew up in, and the things that I've experienced, I have the experience, I have the knowledge, I have I've been there, if I say it like that. So I can go and I can talk to these kids and they'll listen to me. So that's one of the ideas that I have as far as my business, right? So when I say how, and this is what I'm saying, how things happen, but they happen kind of small. They don't necessarily happen in gigantic ways. No one knocks on my door and says, "Hey, I want to pay you $10 million to talk." That's not going to happen. But I was, thinking about that, and I've been thinking about it for a long time, how I can get into, maybe, go into these schools and talk to these people and whatever else. And I was sitting here preparing for the webinar, and I saw, I went on YouTube real quick, and I saw like a news article or news clip or YouTube clip, Al Jazeera. They had this this article or this piece, and it was these three people that were talking about the crime in Sweden, and with the gangs and the young kids and whatever else. And I was like, yeah, I know about that. And I almost clicked away. I was like, yeah, I know, because I know about it because I live here and I've worked with kids here, so I know what's going on. I know exactly what's going on here. And so I'm like, yeah, whatever. But then I looked at it, I was like, wait, let me check this out. So then I checked it out and I watched it, and it was three different people. And one was a police officer, one was a former police officer that works with an organization, that helps, patrol the streets and helps keep kids safe and whatever else. And the other one was a young lady who was a criminologist, and she also works with the organization that, it's like a youth center that helps keeps kids, helps keep them out of trouble. Here in Sweden, it's called Fritidshuset. It's basically like a Boys and Girls Club, but a little different. And they were all talking about the situation, about what we can do about the kids and what's happening and why, and whatever, and the politics of it all and whatever else. And I just thought about it. I was like, you know what? Maybe I should just reach out to these two. And I said, okay, that's just ridiculous. These people are not going to see me at all. But you know what? I'm going to reach out. So I got their email handle, or their, their Instagram handle. And I just sent the email. or a message telling them who I am and what I do and whatever else. I just, I was like, it can't hurt, whatever. So I did it. And one of them hit me back and was like, oh, that sounds very interesting. Right now, I'm really busy. I don't have time to talk to you right now, but I'm very interested in what you said. So that's what I'm saying when your belief is stronger than your doubt, okay, that's when the ideas turn into breakthroughs. That's when things start to happen, because my belief in myself, my belief in what I do, my belief in the fact that I'm going to make it, my belief in the fact that I am going to be this is my goal. My belief in the fact that I am going to get there is way stronger than the doubt or the fear or the frustration or the neediness or the desperation or the panic or the whatever that I've had before, right? I'll be honest with you. Before, when I first started my company, I had all of those things. I was trying to rush and hurry. I was trying to I was desperate for clients, this and that. Once I decided no more desperation, no more fear, no more worry, things started to be easier for me. Things started to be a lot less stressful for me. And so, like I said, the doubt, the fear, once I replace that with my belief, strong belief, and knowing within myself, things start to change. So now I think we have one more. Let's see what happened here. Yeah, the last one is you become the person who knows how. You're not supposed to know how. You're supposed to become the person who does, like I said earlier. Who is that person? Who is that Andrew? What does he do? What does he read? Who does he hang out with? Remember to think like that. Always think to yourself, who is that John or Jane or whoever you are? Who is that person? What do they do? What do they, what do they read? What do they eat? Who do they associate with? What do they allow inside their, what do they allow to themselves to consume? Not just, physically through the mouth, but consume through the eyes, through the spirit. What do they allow in their brain, right? You're supposed to become the person. And the way you do that is growth. Growth will allow new skill sets, new contexts, new mindsets, new ways of thinking. So how do you grow? What do you do? Well, you focus. Again, we talked about that. You focus on the task that you need to do, okay? You focus on the why you want to do it. You already know what it is you want to do. You know why you want to do it. You set that goal as a SMART goal, okay? Specific, measurable, accountable, realistic, and time bound, right? You've done that, okay? And then you focus. You make sure you hold yourself accountable. You make sure you keep discipline and routines around yourself, okay? And you slow it down. Don't try to be in a rush and fix everything now, because it's not going to happen now. The only thing that's going to happen is you're going to be stressed out and worried and panicking and in a frenzy for no reason. It's still not going to happen. So take your time and slow down. This is what I had to learn, right? And then observe, what's working, what's not working, what I need to change, what I don't need to change, and then gratitude. Now, next week, I'm going to talk about those 6 topics that I just named, okay? I'll go a little bit more in depth in those because I think that's a very important topic to discuss to help people getting towards their goals. But that's your growth. And that when I say your growth to help you get to your goal, that's the growth. Those are the skill sets that you need that'll help you. We all know that the version of yourself now is on its way to be that version of yourself that you want to be. So every step is part of the transformation, okay? What they say, don't chase the how, become the who. That's basically what I'm saying. Don't chase the how, become the who. Every step you take is very important. I don't care how big it is. I don't care how small it is. I don't care how insignificant you may think it is. Every step towards your goal is an accomplishment. Every step towards you trying to be a better version of yourself is a step in the right direction, and you should celebrate that win, right? You should celebrate that win, and you should be kind to yourself and make sure that you understand that, I always say this, it is a marathon, not a sprint, okay? It's going to take time. I'm not saying it's going to take 10 years. I can't tell you how long it's going to take because I don't know. Your path is your path. My path is my path. So I want to leave you with this. This is my sort of call to action. If you have a dream that feels crazy or very, very big, then perfect. That is your C goal. If you've got a dream that's so, it's realistic, but it's so out of where you are right now, but you know that that's your dream and that's what you want to be, that's perfect. That is your C goal. So let go of the need to figure it all out right now. Let go of that need to control all of it right now, because you can't, right? You're just not going to be able to do that. So let that go. Instead, decide what you want, clarify your emotional reasons, okay? Commit without evidence, okay? Commit without evidence, meaning commit to the goal without seeing the results, okay? Focus on the process. Focus on the journey. That's part of it. Focus on the journey, not the result, not the destination, right? And then take one step at a time every single day and watch what happens, right? Watch what happens. So this concludes this webinar. I want to thank you guys for coming. I want to thank you guys for joining, and I'm hoping that you guys enjoyed yourselves. I'm sure you got something out of it. Do me a favor, as I always say. If you got something out of this, write it down in the comments. Okay, I can't see the comments right now, but write it down in the comments and let me know what you got out of this webinar. So, sales pitch. If you enjoyed this webinar and you liked, what you saw, and you want to know more about what I do as far as my coaching and how I do it, the programs I offer, how much they cost, how long are they, am I really the coach for you, so on and so forth. If you have all those questions, then you can email me at levelupcc065@gmail.com, or you can DM me here on Facebook at Drew Murphy, DRU Murphy. You can just shoot me a message or a messenger here, and we'll get in contact, we'll get in touch. And what happens is that first call is what I call a discovery call, right? So we'll talk on the phone, or we'll talk through WhatsApp, and then we'll talk about your challenges, your goals, the ideas, where you want to be versus where you are, and what it is you need help with, and what your setbacks are, and so on and so forth. And then, of course, I tell you, what I do and how I can do it, and if I can do it for you. And then if we're a match, we take it from there. I'll present you with programs, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so feel free to contact me. Contacting me and asking me about my goal, my coaching doesn't cost anything. Okay, that's free. So go ahead and contact me. You can, like I said, hit me up on the DMs here in Facebook, or you can email me at levelupcc065@gmail.com. So go ahead and do that and get in touch with me. And then until then, you guys take care of yourselves. Have a great, great weekend. It is Easter weekend. I'm going to be spending Easter here at home with my wife. We'll have a nice dinner tomorrow. She's working. So we decided we're going to have a nice little dinner tomorrow, spend some time together. It'll be nice. And hopefully, I didn't really check the prognosis, but I think it's supposed to be nice weather this weekend. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But so if it's nice weather, then maybe we'll go out somewhere, something like that. So anyway, you guys take care of yourselves. Have a great, great weekend. Happy Easter. And I will see you next Thursday at 7 p.m. right here on Facebook Live at Level Up Coaching and Consulting. You guys take care of yourselves.